Okay, gang, so here we are, still reviewing for the final exam. But today we're going to be talking about dividing fractions, also conversions, and also percents. So first thing we're going to take a look at is simplifying fractions. Simplifying fractions. And when we simplify fractions, making the simplest form, we're going to start out with a fraction. Now, we know we can simplify this because there is a number or numbers that we can divide both 21 and 36 by. So what we're going to do is we're going to think, well, what can we divide 21 by? We can divide 21 by 7, but 7 doesn't go into 36. We can also divide 21 by 3. So that's what we can do. We can divide 21 by 3. We can also divide 36 by 3. So let's do it. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 36 divided by 3 is 12. At this point, you can't divide it anymore because 7 and 12 don't have any common factors, and that's all we can do. That's as simple as we can get. All right, let's check out this fraction, 45 over 60. So, what can we divide 45 and 60 by? Well, what immediately stands out to me is 5, because 5 goes into 60, and 5 goes into 45. So I'm going to divide them both by 5. All right, let's see what we get. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 60 divided by 5 is 12. Now I got to stop and think for a second because I think there's a number we can divide 9 and 12 by, and that's 3. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to divide them both by 3. So I'm going to keep dividing until I can't divide by a common number, a common factor. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now we can't divide 3 and 4 anymore, so we're done. And that's that. All right, let's check these out. So what we're going to do is convert to percents. So we're going to change a percent to a decimal. So we'll start with a percent, maybe like 63%. As a decimal, what you do is you move the decimal point twice to the left to make it a decimal. So 63%, you could also think of that as 63 out of 100, which is the same thing as 63 hundredths. That's one way you can do it. Another way, again, is to move the decimal point 2 times to the left. You get the same answer. Let's try one more. 47% is the same thing as 47 out of 100, which is the same thing as 47 hundredths. All right. Again, we can move the decimal point 2 times to the left. That would do the same thing. All right, let's go from a decimal to a fraction. So let's start with like this decimal. You'd read it. That says 12 hundredths. Well, 12 hundredths is the same thing as 12 hundredths. Now, if you have something like this, if you have this decimal, that's 3/10. So it depends on the place value. 3/10 would be 3/10. Percent to a fraction. So knowing that a percent's always out of 100 can be very helpful here. So you have like 41%. That means 41 out of 100, or 41 hundredths. And then if we have something like 2%, 2% is the same thing as... Bye. You too. Thank you. 2 out of 100. Just some people saying goodbye for the day. So special guests. So we're gonna we can simplify 2 out of 100 by dividing by 2 on the top, and we can divide by 2 on the bottom, and we get 1 out of 50. All right, let's try some more with conversion. So we have decimal to percent. So let's say our decimal is like, I don't know, 17 hundredths. Well, 17 hundredths is the same thing as 17 out of 100, which is the same thing as 17%. So again, seeing the connection between those three numbers can help us change from one to the next. All right, let's see another one here. We got, I don't know, 25 hundredths is the same thing as 25 out of 100, which is the same thing as 25%. So the goal is when you think percents, you're thinking out of 100. That can help both with decimals and fractions. Fraction to decimal. So let's say we have a fraction like 1/4. That's not out of 100. But if we can somehow get it to 100, we can make it into a decimal. All right, so let's take a look at this fraction. So fraction to decimal, this 1/4 is not out of 100. So in order to change it to a decimal, we need to get it out of 100. So how can we get from 4 to 100? Oh, 4 is one of our 9 numbers, by the way. We can multiply by 25. Multiply the top by 25 as well. Divide by 25. I'm sorry, not divide. Multiply by 25. What's 1 times 25? It's 25. So we don't have a decimal yet, but 25 hundredths is 25 hundredths as a decimal. All right, let's try one more there. I'm just going to maybe use a little bit less space, maybe. Maybe I'll use the same amount of space, just in a different space. 3/20ths is not out of 100. To make it into a decimal, it needs to be out of 10 or out of 100. So how can I get from 20 to 100? We're going to multiply by 5. And then we'll do 3 times 5, which is 15. 1500, or out of 100, 15 hundredths, which is 15 hundredths. Okay, last one of the conversions. We have fractions to percents. So let's start with, I don't know, something like 7/10. Well, 7/10 can't be a percent because it's not out of 100. So we need to make it out of 100. That seems to be the theme here. If we can get it out of 100, we can get to where we need to go. 7 times 10 is 70. So 7 out of 100 would be 70%. Or out of 100. All right, now another fraction now. Let's do, I don't know, 17/25. Let's change that to a percent. We can't write it as a percent yet because guess what? It's not out of 100. So what we're going to do is change that so it's out of 100. How can we get from 25 to 100? 4 quarters and $1. Each quarter is worth 25 cents. We're going to multiply by 4. And then on the top, we'll do 17 times 4. Now, 10 times 4 is 40. 7 times 4 is 28. 40 plus 28 is 68. 68 out of 100 is 68%. Okay, so we've just done some conversion, and now we are going to look at percent problems, and that's using our old friend, our dear friend, the percent proportion. Percent proportion. Here we go. 98% of percent problems in 6th grade can be solved using percent proportion, which is part of a whole, equals percent over 100. And we're going to use that a few times to help us solve some percent problems. All right, so if we look at this problem here, it says Vic ate 12 hot dogs in a hot dog eating contest in 4 minutes. This is 48% of the number of hot dogs he would eventually eat. How many hot dogs did he eat in the contest? So this is the key thing here is to figure out what are we working with. Are we working with the part, percent, or the whole? Well, 48 is the percent. That's for sure. And would 12 be all of the hot dogs he ate or just part of them? Well, that's how much he ate in 4 minutes. we're finding how many he ate in total. So that 12 would be the part. So let's set this up. We got the part is 12. The whole, we don't know the whole. The percent is 48. And the 100 is, well, it's 100. Okay, so we're finding here how many hot dogs he ate total. Well, can we get from 48 to 12 in one step? I believe we can. What can we divide 48 by to get to 12? I believe 48 divided by 4 is 12. And so we'd have to do 100 divided by 4, which is 25. So it looks like he's going to eat 25 hot dogs, which is a lot of hot dogs. That's more than perhaps I've eaten in a decade. Perhaps a decade. Okay, let's talk about Lucy and the Kite. If you want to try this one on your own, you can pause the video and try it on your own, or you can just go ahead of me and try it. That's fine. Let's do part over whole equals percent over 100. And then it says Lucy flies a kite 24 feet in the air. This is 15% of how high the kite could go. How high can the kite go? All right, well, we have the percent. We know that for sure. 15% is the percent. Is 24 the part or the whole? Well, we're trying to find how high the kite can go. 24 feet is just 15%, so we only have the part. We're trying to find, like, what's the total height that this kite can get. So let's set this up. Part over whole equals percent over 100. 24 is the part. The whole, we don't know. And then we have 15 out of 100 is the percent. Well, we can't go from 15 to 24 in one step, so we'll have to divide. What can we divide 15 and 100 by? Well, I can divide 15 by 3, but 3 doesn't go into 100. So let's try dividing by 5. Let's divide by 5 here. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 1 second. I'll be back in a moment. All right, see ya. All right, so 30% of 20. Let's do the part over whole equals percent over 100. It never fails us, I guess. Well, most percent problems in 6th grade can be solved using this proportion here, percent proportion. So we have 30% is definitely the percent of 20. So is 20 the part of the whole? We're trying to find 30% of this number. So the 20, when you see that word of, the number after it is typically the whole. So we're trying to find the part of 20. So we don't know the part. Oh, I forgot to see, I was saying goodbye to a student, so I forgot that I didn't finish this one. So I'm going back. How can we get from 3 to 24? We're going to multiply by 8. How can I get from 20 to this blank number? We're also going to multiply by 8. What's 20 times 8? It would be 160. All right, now I apologize that I skipped part of that problem, but we're back to this one now. We're trying 30% of 20. So what we're doing is we're trying to find the part of 20 that is 30%. Now, 30s are percent out of 100. Okay, now can we get from 100 to 20 in one step? Yes, we can. So we'll do that. How do we get from 100 to 20? We're going to divide by 5. So how can we get from 30 to the mystery number? We're also going to divide by 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Okay, let's check this last one here. Trying to find 45% of 90. Same type of problem here. We have the percent of 90, meaning that 90 is the whole. We're trying to find the part. Part over whole equals percent over 100. All right, let's do it. So 45 is the percent, 90 is the whole. We're trying to find the part. Okay, there's that. 45 is the percent out of 100. This one might have a little bit of a decimal in there. All right, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get from 45 to this mystery number. If we can get to 10 here, we're in good shape, because then we can get to 90. So here's the thing. This one's going to involve a little bit of a decimal, which is okay. We're going to divide by 10. We're going to divide this top number by 10. 45 divided by 10, you just move the decimal over, is 4.5. And then, now we can get to 90. So we'll multiply by 9 on the top. We'll multiply by 9 on the bottom. I'm going to need a calculator for this. So actually, you know what? I don't. It's going to be 36 plus half of 9. So I do 4 times 9 is 36. Half of 9 is 4.5. So it should be 40.5. So that one was a little trickier because there was a decimal in there, but same idea. We're trying to get to numbers that help us get to our answer. All right, well, that's percent. Hope that some stuff came back to you that maybe we haven't seen a little bit. But I hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.